It looks like a muncher in the headlights.
I don't want him at that.
Steve, are you doing this stuff?
No, I'm just introducing you. 24, 25. Boom, you topped it. 25. Right, welcome all. This is going to be the last talk of the year. Hopefully it'll all be good next year with all the new committee, which will be introduced at the end, obviously. And so I'm pleased to welcome James, Scott, Sakib and Elliot on how to survive the zombie apocalypse. Enjoy.
Elliot. Who's Elliot?
By the way, if you haven't read this yet, by being here you agree that everything is okay and you're not going to do anything after this talk. Okay, let's begin. We're going to talk to you about how to survive a zombie apocalypse from a geographer's perspective. Now, most other subjects wouldn't be very good in this case, but geography can really help you when it comes to surviving when there's a load of flesh-craving things running around. And we're going to show you how. Content of this talk, first of all, we're going to clarify for you what is a zombie, because it's important to know what type of zombie we're talking about, because there are many different types of films, so there are many different types of zombie. And then we need to talk about how we're going to control the outbreak, because there's no reason to go into the impacts and solutions if we can stop it in the first place. Thirdly, there's going to be a brief section from Elliot Hughes about the skills that we should learn, followed by a lengthier section from Sakib that actually had work put into it called Where is the Safest Place to Be? And finally we're going to finish off with reasons why you shouldn't have to worry, because it's going to end rather quickly after it begins. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so this is a zombie, the textbook definition of a zombie. A corpse reanimated by various means, either supernatural or mundane, whose body continues to move despite a lack of normal biological function.
The UN recognises anyone with undead status to be a zombie, or to be more politically correct, vitally challenged at VC.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about some different types of zombies. I'm going to concentrate on voodoo zombies, Nazi zombies, and viral zombies. So voodoo zombies are actually a type of necromantic zombie. This means they've been reanimated by a form of black magic. In the case of voodoo zombies, a witch doctor called a Bokor captures the soul of the dead body and contains it in an empty vessel. He then rubs some zombie powder into an open wound, which revives the body from the dead. Once the soul has been captured, whoever is in control of the vessel with the soul in it has control of the voodoo zombie. And some characteristics are they have dark soulless eyes, they walk slowly, and they are one of the few zombies that are in fact able to use tools. To destroy one, you should either set the soul free or do a significant amount of damage to the body. Nazi zombies are a form of atomic zombies. Atomic zombies are created when a dead body is subjected to certain types of radiation. In the case of Nazi zombies, dead Nazis were exposed to element 215, known as unpentium. They look like standard stereotypical zombies. They moan and they move slowly. And you can identify Nazi zombies from other atomic zombies because they wear a Nazi uniform. They also need to eat flesh because this stops their own flesh from burning out. And their weakness is their brain, so you should go for that if you want to destroy them. Viral zombies, these are arguably the most dangerous type of zombie to humans. The virus can either be ingested or can enter the bloodstream directly. There are two types of viruses. The first virus doesn't actually kill the human host, it just makes it enter a state of murderous rage. And it goes around trying to infect other humans. This technically isn't a real zombie because it's not dead. The second type of virus actually kills the kills the human and then reanimates it. So this is a real zombie. The first type of virus causes zombies which can be fast and also intelligent, but because they're still alive, they also need nutrition and they can tire out. The second type creates zombies which are slower, and they usually have their mouths open and they bare their teeth. To destroy them, they're all vulnerable to brain damage to the brain, so that's where you should go. And some parasites have also been known to be able to get the zombie virus. For example, the Mephisto worm, which lives 1 kilometre underground and eats purely stone. And you could ask Mr. Wheeler more about this if you want to know.
Okay, so now we need to talk about how we're going to control the outbreak itself. And this can be split up into predicting the spread of infection and the geographical impacts that this could have. First of all, predicting the spread of infection. There are 3 large factors that affect this. There's trade, immigration, and local geography. Trade is obviously trading. Immigration is the moving of people from place to place. Migration is the moving of people from place to place. And local geography is mainly the physical side, where regions can be autonomous. I've created a little thing for you to see where the general spread would go. It starts in Manchester, and it would go to Europe. People would be going across the sea to Florida to die, and they'd end up undead. It would then go to places like Nigeria, where people would trade for spices, and migration across the US and down across the world. Eventually to Australia for people searching for jobs. And yeah, that took me a while. How can we control it? There are 2 ways of controlling it. There's border control and quarantines. Border control is closing off the borders and saying, you know, fuck off. Secondly, there's quarantine, where people can stay inside so that the infected could all be killed, and therefore it wouldn't spread anywhere else. Now, as geographers, we like to study the different impacts that things could have around the world. So this can be split up into social, economical, environmental, and political. Now, you may think that with a zombie apocalypse, everything is going to be negative, but there are actually a couple of positives that we can address. First of all, let's start with social. There is a negative side of social, that obviously everybody's dead. But the positive side is that a load of family members come back to life. The economy is not going to do too good after a zombie apocalypse, especially the local workforce, which would most likely be slightly depleted. However, a change might not even be noticed due to their dull expression, slow staggered movement, and craving for human flesh. There's the environmental side, which is also important to consider. You know, any people who love bacteria, they would all go up in numbers. But the bad side is this could cause a spread of disease, and we wouldn't want that. Finally, political. Well, there aren't any political negatives because all the politicians are dead. Okay, finally, geographers will understand this to be the demographic transition model. If you're not a geographer, I'm not even going to explain the joke. And we need a new stage. Now let's go on to what skills should we learn.
Right, so obviously, zombie apocalypse, you're going to need to learn quite a different set of skills that we've got nowadays. So the main 3 are going to be, you need to learn how to use weapons, you need to learn security and defence, and you need to learn how to pussy out, so just back down. So security, well, you're going to need marksmanship, so everyone is going to need to be trained how to use a gun properly, so you don't end up shooting yourself or shooting one of your friends. You'll need survival skills, so you'll need to know how to actually survive out in the wild if you get separated from your group. You need a token, so everybody's seen zombie films, you know, they've always got a black guy. For some reason, it might be nature or something, but the black guy always dies first. So, so you know, if you've got a black guy, you should actually be safe for a while. Defences, well, as you can see, Saki and Sam Ward have demonstrated a good zombie defence here. Just a couple of logs and stuff up against the tree, you know. Any normal zombie isn't going to think to walk around and come on the other side, but, you know, defence is pretty important as well. You need some protection. So most people in zombie films, you see them, they've got shorts and a t-shirt on, which you'd think they'd want to change, put a bit of armour on. Zombie, it's going to bite your skin, you're dead. So normal armour that you'd want really is just a bit of leather, maybe put a dustbin around you or something to keep you pretty safe. And then you need to stockpile weapons and actually, again, learn how to use them. So big pile of guns, zombies come, go pick out your favourite gun, start shooting. And there's also actually a course that you can enrol on somewhere in America, and you pay to spend a weekend actually learning how to survive a zombie apocalypse. So it's basically taught by rednecks. So it's just, they teach you inbreeding, how to use crossbows, how to skin anything really, It's a pretty good weekend, you should go. Also, different types of weapons. Obviously, geographical sensors. You've got MEDC and LEDC. For those of you who don't know, an MEDC is, what it all boils down to is really, it's a white country.
Well.
So MEDCs, what we've got is we have firearms, just normal guns, and we've also got melee weapons, so maybe like a chainsaw or something. LEDC, they've got some pretty high-tech kit as well. Pointy sticks, they're quite abundant over there. And you can also get clubs and just other, maybe rocks, they're quite useful sometimes. And then also, you're going to need to learn the art of being a little pussy. So, the main one, you need to learn how to be good at hide and seek. Because if you can hide, a zombie, not being too clever like me, isn't going to be able to find you. You have to learn to be Saqib, who demonstrates again how to hide from a zombie, so he'd be safe, if someone else would die. Watching Scooby-Doo, that teaches you how to hide, how to dress up as well, all sorts of things. And also, you're going to need to work on your cardio. So if you want to outrun a zombie, you're going to need to actually be pretty fit to be able to escape. But that won't help you in the long run, because as everyone knows, zombies have this insane ability to just sneak up behind you no matter what. So you might last a day or two and you'll be dead. So just a little caption off the internet, good friends help you move a body, but a true friend is someone that's going to let you trip them so that you can get away. Which pretty much sums up humanity there.
So I just found some locations where I felt it would be safe. And to survive, you actually need to probably start a small settlement. And the key features you need are water supply, food source, shelter, and security. So we'll start with the Isle of Man. It's situated in the Irish Sea, and you can get there by boat. You can get there by plane, because there's a nice airport there, or you could swim over. For water, there's a permanent water supply, so that's good. For food, there are numerous supermarkets around the island. There are also some farms, so you could grow your own crops. For shelter, there's a nice castle here, Castle Rushen, in Castletown. It would also be quite easy to defend, because it's a medieval castle and it's got a working drawbridge. And for security, again, there's also a nice gun shop where you could arm yourself with. And for perks, there's no national speed limit on the Isle of Man. And there's some nice tennis courts. Anglesey, it's just off the coast of Wales. You could drive there, you could fly there, you could get a boat there. There's again a permanent water supply. For food, again there are some supermarkets, and there's also some good agriculture. For shelter, I picked two good spots. The Skerries up here, there's a nice lighthouse where you could hide. And over to the other side there's also a castle where you could go. For security, again there's a gun shop just outside Anglesey where you could go. And for the perks, the residents share the same fondness for sheep as the Welsh, so it should be fairly easy to get a girlfriend. Alderney, which is in the Channel Islands, you can get there by boat or by, well, the airport's there to get there by air. There's a permanent water supply, and although there aren't any supermarkets for food, there are some small shops that would last you a while. And again, there's some good farms for agriculture and some nice fishing ports. For shelter, there are loads of German fortifications all over the island. They were built during World War II. An example is Fort Longis, which was originally a Roman fort, but was then secured by the Germans. So that'd be a good place to go. And the perks, it's only 8 miles away from the French coast, so you could sail up to France and watch some French people get eaten by zombies. Linosa Island, this is in the Mediterranean. You could get there, well, you could fly here to the nearby island and then get a boat there, or you could get a boat directly to Linosa. The advantage of that would be you'd pass by Ibiza. Also, there's a permanent water supply on the island. For food, there are several bars and hotels. And for shelter, you could also choose one of the hotels. Security, it's a very small island and it's only got 400 residents, so it should be fairly safe. It's also over 100 miles away from any mainland. The perks are, it's a nice tropical island, and you could always go to Malta if you want to party.
Okay, so we've talked about what you need to do in a zombie apocalypse, where you need to go, and essentially how you need to survive. But it's not all doom and gloom, because chances are it wouldn't really happen. You know how in the zombie apocalypse films, the film starts after the zombie apocalypse has already taken place? Well, that's because the part leading up to it doesn't make any sense at all, and we're going to talk about that now. Firstly, there are too many natural predators for the zombie. We as humans are on the top of the food chain. It's not because we're hard to kill. We're actually unprotected flesh bags waiting to be torn open. We're at the top because we're really good at killing everything else. We're simply too well armed and too smart, Elliot, to be hunted by any wild animal. Now, consider the zombie. They kind of walk around, don't really do much. They lack every advantage that keep us from being eaten to extinction. They don't even have any sense of self-preservation to run away from any impending danger. Now, that's, you know, maybe with the lions, but in Manchester, we don't have lions anymore. But the problem is that even if just the ability to swat a fly away from your face would stop your eyes and tongue being eaten out by maggots, and that's a luxury that zombies wouldn't have. Now think of Africa. Africa does have lions, and they have a load of other beasts that could take care of the zombie apocalypse. Finally, a disease that they can take care of on their own. Secondly, they cannot take the heat. It's generally expected that zombies will continue to rot after they become a zombie, but the movies fail to convey what actually happens, what happens to a rotting body. The first concern is a process called putrefaction. Thanks to the plethora of bacteria we have in our colon to digest plant material, the moment that we die, we become a ripe source for this decay to happen. Since heat speeds up the growth of said bacteria, the zombies would have a looming expiration date the moment that they turned. However, these bacteria, they produce gas, so after a couple of days, the zombies are going to get noticeably fatter. And then, given another couple of weeks, the zombies are going to start doing something very interesting. They're going to start exploding everywhere. So, I don't know about you, but things that explode tend not to be alive. So you think, okay, maybe not in the summer, but maybe the winter the zombies would be much better off. No, because they can't take the cold either. Zombies are dead. When flesh is alive, there are defense mechanisms to keep it that way. But the first thing is that dead meat is cold in cold weather. Now, humans are mostly water, so we all know what happens to water in cold weather. And if you saw a zombie walking around in the Arctic, it wouldn't take long before it becomes noticeably more rigid, and eventually, after a lot of exposure, it is just going to freeze. Then we have this. Biting is a shit way of spreading a disease. You know that dog that got rabies, and then the next day the rabies was all over the continent, except that group of ethnically diverse dogs living in a basement? Well, no, there isn't that. because biting is a horrible way of spreading a disease. The flu, however, has killed tens of millions. That's because it floats through the air. The plague was spread by fleas. Not one of them requires the infected to get within biting distance to spread their infection. Sure, HIV works that way, but nobody will be having sex with a zombie. And let's say there is an outbreak, and that 30 people can get infected. It's not like mankind has been confused about what to do when an infection breaks out before. In America, there's something called the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, and they don't tend to fuck around. It's on their business card. You remember the? Do you remember the SARS outbreak? If you don't remember the SARS outbreak, SARS managed to get its way to North America. Now, the second it got to North America, the CDC cut off all international travel, and they did it so effectively that only 43 people on the entire continent died. Okay, now the next 3 reasons. They can't heal from day-to-day damage. One advantage of having a fully functioning nervous system is that it lets you know when you've stepped on a plug. One thing we know about zombies is that they're generally clumsy. It's almost as if the spinning helicopter blades look warm and just want to be hugged. You might think of yourself as a superhero if you can't feel any pain, but actually, you'll end up dying, or at least biting bits of your tongue off. Thirdly, or sixthly, the landscape is full of zombie-proof barriers. Zombies are stupid. They lack coordination. They can't see in the dark. They would walk off all the cliffs and die. They would walk off all the bridges and die. In real-life situations, people don't actually run around everywhere. They like to congregate up in the high-rise buildings for safety. Now, in a zombie apocalypse, all you'd need to do would be at the top of a building with some security doors, and maybe an over-enthusiastic guy with a sword. Lastly, people have guns. Now, in America, they might be a little better suited for a zombie apocalypse than us, but we have knives and stuff, so we'll be good, right? Anyway, if we're good at one thing, we are good at killing other things. We're so good that we've made entire species cease to exist. Add to this mix the sheer number of hunters and downright psychopaths, and zombies generally don't have a chance. From the outlook, if we look at zombies as a species, they're generally designed for extinction. Their main source of reproduction is also their food and their top predator. It's like us having to fight a lion every time we want to have sex or make a sandwich. Questions?
Very good, let's finish them. Still no questions?
Apparently not.
Good, let's finish then. Now, hopefully it isn't going to be the last talk of the year. But we do have a new committee coming up, and I think 2 of them are here today. So if everyone can give a round of applause to James Fairclough, who's going to be the chairman, and Caleb, who's going to be one of the vice chairmen. So, you all stand up so you can see him. Let's give him another round of applause. Okay, but other than that, this was the last talk of our committee, and there won't be any anymore.
Thank God.
On behalf of the audience, thank you, James, for getting